Hello there. This is a Sabatier 8-inch carving knife. This is a French-made Sabatier, but I've looked for this Sabatier. I talked about this in the video that introduced this set of knives that I'm sharpening. And there's several different Sabatier brands, and there's a lot of Sabatier brand that come from China, and most of them carry this Griffin label. But you cannot find that label on anything now that's not made in China. And I have a Chinese Santoku with this label, and it is nowhere near the quality of this knife. It feels like I'm trying to cut something, trying to hold a 2x4 in my hands. It's just a horrible knife. Okay, this knife is much better. But like I said, it's carrying this Griffin label. And I've never seen that in a French knife. But now when I look at this knife and these knives closer, I see signs that this knife has been used in a commercial kitchen, and it's been used very hard. It's been well taken care of for what it was needed to do. But if you look at most of these knives, not just one or two of them, but most of them, let me see if I can find it, from about here to somewhere up in here. I can't see it now, but you might be able to catch a reflection along the edge. Each one of these knives has been used as a pry bar. Whoever had these knives, what they're doing is they're shoving the strongest portion, or maybe they were used to like crack crab legs, lobster claws, or something like that, but they're being smacked. They were being smacked into something, and then they've twisted. So, and that can happen quite readily in a commercial kitchen because you're hopping really fast and you need to get things done. So these have been well taken care of, but they've been used heavily. And I think someone replaced these at some point. I think they had these a fairly long time and employed them in commercial work, and at some point replaced them with newer knives and got rid of the set, and they somehow ended up in Goodwill. But either way, that's minor and it can be taken care of. There's no real major damage. I also, when I look at the 8-inch shift that I had, when I looked that one over really close, I could see signs that someone had corrected the bolster on that knife, and it was done really well. You could almost not see it. So these knives, I think, were used in the commercial kitchen. They were sent out for professional sharpening, that kind of deal. So what I'm going to do now, I'm in the process of replacing my KitchenAid and my Martha Stewart brand knives that I've had forever with all these Sabatier knives that I have. I've got like 6 of them that will cover pretty much anything you need to do in the kitchen. The only thing it didn't have is a bread knife. I'll keep my Martha Stewart for that. But it had a tomato knife, which, those are serrated. And right along toward this part of the blade, the serrations had been bent to one side, a whole section about like that. And I had to lay it on the anvil of a vise that I have and tap those serrations down flat again with a hammer. So like I say, these have seen, it's not one or two of them. I mean, these have seen practical, heavy use, I believe, in a commercial kitchen. So what I'm gonna do, each of these needs a bevel cut into it. So I've got my Norton medium crystalline and fine India stone. And I'm going to start the cutting in of a new bevel on the medium crystalline. I'm running out of blooming room to sharpen here. These big long knives are difficult to work with. But now, if you look, if you see on this one side of that bevel, I don't know if I can show it to you or not. I can't get it where you can see it. There we go, maybe. Okay, you can see the bevel is being cut in evenly on this side. But when we get over to this side, well, you can't see that in the camera, but I can see it with the naked eye. Right in here, it's skipping portions of the blade, the edge, because that little thin part of the edge was bent a little bit by what it is they were using this knife for, that they should have been using it for. So we're gonna use a tiny bit of pressure, and we're gonna cut a bevel into this blade. And what I'm gonna do, try to and I'm gonna kind of roll that up the edge, roll that knife edge. What I'm doing, I get to here now, and I'm rolling that up because I want to kind of take care of that damage. It's important not to put a whole bunch of pressure when you're doing this, because this knife will flex if I'm sharpening it like this. It just will. But what I'm doing is trying to speed up the process of cutting the bevel in so that I can get on with the sharpening. Now I could sharpen the whole knife in this way. Steel's pretty hard because that's a pretty coarse steel, and it's not drawing a burr real easy. That should already be, with this technique, this steel should already pull the burr. Not a trace of it. And I'm pulling down the stone like this with the knife angled like that because I want to kind of straighten out any kind of imperfection it might have gotten over the years. I don't really see any. If I sight down the blade, there's no recurve in it. It's perfectly straight. But I want to keep it that way. And if you watch my honing videos and I talk about, yeah, see, there's more of a burr on this side. Yeah. But if you watch my razor honing videos, and I talk about a graduation of pressure, where I graduate pressure from this, the heel, all the way up to the toe. If you listen really closely to how the razor passes across the stone, you can hear that graduation of pressure. So if you watch those videos and like those videos, listen for that, and you'll hear it. And what I'm doing, I'm just using 2 different strokes just so I won't get bored trying to cut this bevel in. But also, anytime I use like that crescent stroke or any of the Japanese half stroke stuff or anything of the sort, I like to follow through with this kind of straightforward kind of sharpening of the edge because I want to make sure everything is nice and smooth along the whole flat of that bevel. But I'm doing what I'm doing is I'm cutting this bevel in, and one of the most sure ways that I know of to tell that the bevel has been cut in on that side is to pull up a burr. If I pull up a burr along the whole length of this blade, then I know for a fact, and that burr is climbing down the blade, but I know for a fact then that that bevel is cut in like it should be. Once again, just trying to cut in a bevel any way that I can. Yeah. I can feel a burr almost all the way. Okay, that's to the edge, to the heel. Now I'm going to blend that. Now these blending strokes, a lot of people think that they're just so that the scratch pattern is even, but they are not. If I am pulling on this knife like this, down this stone, and this part of this knife is laying on the stone, it's a possibility if just by the minute amount the weight of the blade shifts this way that you can get like a recurve happening there. And these blending strokes are not just to smooth out the bevel scratches. What they are is I'm coming down this stone and straightening that out. And I might, if I were to accidentally create a recurve from like here down or whatever, I would want to straighten that out, but then I would want to go to like where the recurve stopped here and blend that curve so that everything's nice and straight again. Everything is lined up the way that it's supposed to be. And all that good stuff. You don't want to do that in the first place, but that's a way to correct it if you do. It's also a way to correct a knife that already has it. If you get a knife and it's got a recurve, you can correct it like that. You can focus on specific areas of the blade that need work. Hear that? That's that burr on the other side. I don't know if you hear that or not, but that's the burr. And I can actually do like this and sort of pull it back. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but like right here, can you see that? I don't know if you can or not, but that's that burr on this side. Once again, I'm going to check the edge. Beautiful. And so now what I want to do is I want to work on this side of the bevel until I turn that burr. And I'm just going to go single strokes. And I'm kind of going to go like this. And I'm not using any pressure really at all. Because once again, if I put a lot of pressure here as I come down on this blade, and then I've got pressure on it, it's going to try to drag the edge of this stone, and you might end up with problems down the road. That's just my way. There are other people that will tell you different ways of sharpening, and that's okay. But this is the way I do things and what works for me. And so I teach what works for me and what I know. I'm not going to try to teach someone else's system, because I don't use their system, I use mine. And I've developed how I like to work. Almost. I've developed how I like to work. I'm going to tilt this a little. Over the years, over time, and so you're going to find that that's a part of almost anything you do, but sharpening included, is that you're going to find ways that work really well for you. And you might not even know why, or you might not have a good reason to say, well, I do it like this. It's enough to say, because I have found that's what works for me. It's rolling. All right. Because sometimes sometimes I can't tell you this is why I do this. I can tell you this is why I think this works or that works, but I try to get to, there are guys that a scientific understanding helps them, or a scientific approach. There are guys that it's methodology and things like that, repeatability, and being able to understand what's going on and all of that. I'm a seat of the pants sharpener and honer, okay? And I do things because those things have worked in a consistent manner for me over the years. Yeah, lovely. And I don't ask a bunch of questions about it. I just know it works, and so that's what I do. And that works for me. So I'm going to flip over now to this fine India.